Hi, I'm Garden Grove Mayor Steve Jones. So the city of Garden Grove is committed to addressing homelessness by providing services to both the homeless community and also those at risk of becoming homeless. One of the many services that we offer is the assistance hotline 211 OC and administration of the regional data dashboard. The city currently utilizes nearly $70,000 in grants to fund 211 and the data dashboards. And I have the service provider here with me now from 211 Orange County. Founded in 2005, 211 OC's mission is to help people get the assistance they need by eliminating barriers to finding and accessing social services in Orange County. So here with me today from 211 OC, I have Executive Director Karen Williams. Thanks.
Thank you so much for having me. Just very, very happy to be able to talk to you about all the things that we see happening in Garden Grove.
So I thank you for joining me and for allowing us to record this. And the purpose of that is just because I'm not sure the public is totally aware of everything we do as a city in our efforts to address homelessness. It's obviously a very complex and multifaceted set of problems that we face, and there's various service providers that we work with. So the city currently funds 211 OC to administer the assistance hotline and data dashboard. Can you tell me more about 211 and the dashboards and what they entail?
Absolutely. So 211 Orange County, as you mentioned, has been in existence since 2005, and we're part of a network of over 250 211s that are in place in the country, each community having their own local access. And what we do is we provide a 24/7 service where we can handle people contacting people who are in need to find help and resources from different nonprofit and government agencies. And what we do is we have the ability to talk to people in multiple languages. Our staff is bilingual in 4 languages at our location, and then we have access to a language translation line. And that's been very effective when we have people calling who are in need of help and are in crisis, to be able to talk to them in their own language. So we have both that piece of it, and we're a virtual front door for the community, for those who are homeless, and we are able to directly connect people to the agencies who can help them. As well as we manage the Homeless Management Information System, HMIS, for the community, which gathers data and reports back up to HUD. And one of the things that Garden Grove has done and offers to the community, which I applaud you for, is that you're utilizing this dashboard that we give you on a quarterly basis. It looks at both how you're doing with handling the homeless population in terms of getting them housed, as well as having a look at the different types of calls that are coming in. And I think that's so important, because I think as a constituent that one of the things that you're going to want to see is how well you're doing in the community.
So like I said, it's a very daunting and challenging problem that we face in Orange County, is all things related to homelessness. There's people who are actually homeless who need rapid rehousing or need a shelter or need access. That there are people in jeopardy of becoming homeless who need rental assistance. There are people with mental health issues. Like I said, it's very multifaceted and complex. How does connecting individuals with services through 211 OC, how is that vital in the overall picture, and how is the data dashboard and the data collected vital to the overall process of addressing homelessness in Orange County?
So I think there are 2 things. One is in terms of how we can help people. So there are so many people who are just on the verge of becoming homeless. And I think we saw that with COVID, the fact that we had this whole newly vulnerable population. But even prior to that, we had a lot of people living on the edge, and there's been a lot of conversation about the cost of living and how much and what's a livable wage and things like that. So when somebody calls us, one of the first things we'll do is we will see if somebody is currently enrolled with CalFresh. And if they're not, we will go ahead and do an application for them and submit it. We will also find out if if they are in need of utility help, or if they have a need for a less expensive version of a cell phone or internet, which we have access to those programs, and we'll sign people up for them. So if the greatest thing that we can do is to keep people from becoming homeless. And once again, I think one of the things that the city of Garden Grove has invested in is this whole prevention piece. And that is so very critical to the community.
Mm. So as I started out saying, we're recording this largely so that we can share this out with our residents, with our public, in effort to communicate out some of the things that we are doing. A lot of times it's helpful to give real world examples, practical examples. Can you think of one, maybe some encounter that happened recently that led to a positive outcome?
So we had somebody recently who was in need, who was in a domestic violence situation. And typically what will happen in those situations is people will call, and if they all of a sudden have a loss of income, they need to get additional help as well. So we can go ahead and help somebody both get connected to one of your domestic violence programs and make sure that they get the help from that end. But then at the same time, as I mentioned, we can get them signed up for CalFresh and a number of other resources. If they have a need for help with their children or whatever, we can assist with that as well. And so when we can move somebody through that continuum and get them so that they're safe, then at that point that the work can start happening that can really help improve their lives. And that's something that happens on a daily basis.
Mm-hmm. I think that's helpful to put it in perspective with some practical example like that. And a key word you mentioned there is continuum, which is sort of a key buzzword within the field, right? Is addressing homelessness is a continuum of care problem. And so it's not just any one aspect, there's a whole lot of different levels to it and a lot of different needs that need to be provided. And there's a lot of wonderful service providers out there that kind of focus in on the various aspects that we have relationships with. So it's a large network, not just in Garden Grove, but across the county working on these issues. So there's a wealth of data that is being collected by 211OC. Are there any tidbits you can share, or any indicators in terms of how Garden Grove is, maybe I should be scared to ask this, but how's Garden Grove doing relative to the county in terms of the data that you're collecting, or what are you seeing from a data standpoint?
So one of the things that I found that was interesting in looking at your data in comparison to the county as a whole, and once again, this is information on your data dashboard, which you can find on the city website, is that the number of days that somebody is homeless prior to getting help is a lesser amount of time. And that's awesome. That means that people are out on the street a fewer amount of days, and that's really important. And then the number of days that people are actually in a shelter before they get into housing is a shorter period of time. And that's great. I mean, that means that you've got enough, so many times it's how many case managers do you have who can actually help move people along this continuum? And so you've made the investment and it looks like it's paying off. And then the other thing, it's kind of a strange metrics, but it's something that we look at a lot, which are the people that you're helping. Are they actually people who are homeless? So there are some times that people will get into the system of care where they actually weren't homeless, or they were, let's say, living with a sister or a friend or somebody, and somehow they ended up into the system of care of homelessness. And we really don't want to see that. We want to see that the people who are out on the street or who are living in their cars getting help. So you've done a really good job, I think, with the different partner agencies that you're working with, getting out there. And then the other thing I think that's a piece of note, and we'll be coming out with a 12-month report here in the next couple of weeks, but when we looked at the year before the time of COVID and then what happened during the time of COVID was pretty incredible. And we saw that the number of calls that came in for Garden Grove more than doubled during that period of time. And the percentage of calls that came in were a little bit higher as a percent of the county as a whole, which was interesting. We saw some kind of a dip, as we did with everybody during the summer, but they continued to track up. And then, of course, once the rental assistance program came into being, that you had quite a big influx. We also received more calls from people from families that were of 4 or more people, which was interesting. The percentage were definitely larger families. And then, of course, the needs we saw from the beginning: housing help, rental assistance, food, healthcare. We were a good place to go to find information out on COVID. So for the people who are listening to this, it's very easy. All you have to do is dial the number 211. And you can get to us, or you can go to our website, 211oc.org, and get in touch with us that way as well.
Karen Williams, Executive Director for 211OC. Thank you very much for joining me today. As you know, we have an amazing team here internally at City Hall, led by Lisa Kim, our Assistant City Manager, Economic Development Director, Monica Covarrubias, Nate Robbins, Tim Throne, and many others, pouring heart and soul into their dedication to serving the city and helping address our homelessness issues. For more information, please go to ggcity.org/end homelessness. And thank you again, everyone, for watching.